elections department in Montgomery County is putting a very big push on early voting, the use of mail-in voting, and drop boxes. In other states, they have banned use of drop boxes or mail-in. Here's my question. Do you have confidence in this upcoming election, the Board of Elections plan? And by saying that, tell us what kind of Democrat or Republican you are. Do you believe that the 2020 presidential election was fraudulently stolen? Mr. James, starting with you, a former Republican who's become a Democrat.
Well, I wouldn't put things past anybody, but without any credible evidence. We've got every people going out and putting out these theories, but there's no hard evidence. Actually, Princeton did a study, and a company that Diebold, I guess, that the Bushes were in, they actually were able to crack the voting machine. So I wouldn't mind spending a little more money to make sure that our voting system is intact, but I think it's a moot issue.
Mr. James, and we only have a minute for answers
Okay,
on this
gotcha,
one. It's kind of a lightning round.
I am confident in our electoral system. We have to be vigilant. We've had a lot of battles with the Board of Elections about the early vote locations, for example, and making sure that they're fairly distributed throughout our community so that everyone has access. But I think the great lie of significant voter fraud in 2020 is repulsive, and I fear for this country and the path that we're on, and I generally feel that we are, this country is being controlled by a minority that does not support, our democratic principles. I see my time is up.
Yeah, Mr. Sullivan, as a Republican candidate, what do you feel?
I actually wrote a letter to the Board of Elections outlining 10 points that I wanted to see changed here in Montgomery County. It had to do with the elections, basically just like there's something called a ghost voter. There's voters, if you look at the voter rolls, there are inconsistencies in the voter rolls as they exist now. We have people who, addresses that are going to post office boxes or UPS spaces. And there's people who are registered twice, and I'm getting my stop sign, so.
All right, Mr. Blair.
Yes, I have confidence in the voting process, and I actually have firsthand experience. I lost to the gentleman to my right by 77 votes 4 years ago, and this is in a county with 1 million residents. And so we started looking at the various precincts, and we're looking at the votes, and we're desperately trying to find some inappropriateness, like anything. There wasn't. I would recommend and encourage you, make sure you're properly registered to vote. In the last election, we had 1,000 rejected provisional ballots. They were properly rejected, but it's people that thought they were registered and they weren't, and then their votes didn't count. So make sure you're registered properly.
And Mr. Elrich.
I have confidence that the system will work. What concerns me about, because the governor vetoed a bill, and the danger of the governor's veto is that the ballots, the stuff that comes from home, the mail-in, is not going to be counted until 2 days after the election. And that means in the last election, Trump would have won, I think, on the day of the vote, but lost when all the votes were counted. And we're going to go through this madness where people are going to say, we won, we won, we won, and then 2-3 days later it's going to be, actually you didn't, and then it's going to be, oh my God, mail-in voter fraud.